Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and having a fantastic week. In today's video I'm going to tell you some of the products that I really regret buying for my birds. Now this isn't intended as like a bash on any brands or anything like that. There's different reasons for each product I kind of regret buying. If I can think of any more I might make this into a series, but I'd also like to know what you regret buying for your birds. Also, I wanted to point out this isn't going to be a, products that are dangerous for birds kind of video. I have made a whole video on that already. I'll leave a card at the top and the link in the description if you want to know some products to avoid at all costs for your birds. But let's get straight into some of the things that I regret buying. For these products, obviously I don't have all of them, so for the ones that I don't have, I'm going to put pictures to the side here. But starting off with one I do have is this perch for weighing my birds. I can attach it to my scales and weigh them. Now the problem with this particular one is for some wild reason I decided to get one with a sucker on the end, or a suction cup, or whatever you want to call it. The person who I got this custom made from gave me a couple of options, and we thought, oh, a sucker sounds great, yeah, suction cup, that's cool, and then we can take it on and off the scales and still use them. The problem with having the suction cup at the bottom is it makes the perch wobble, which then makes the bird's weights fluctuate by up to 3 grams, with normally 1 or 2. So when I'm weighing the birds, it's not always as accurate as I would like, but obviously, it still gives me a rough idea of how much they weigh, and 1 or 2 grams in the grand scheme of things for these birds isn't, that unusual. But it's really annoying, and I wish I'd gone for something more stable. Now you may be thinking, well, why don't you just make your own? We don't have anywhere where we live currently where I can just, do some woodwork or drilling or sawing. It's not something that we can do where we are now. So I just have to make do with this until I can get something else. And I know in other places in the world you can get really cheap ones with like a bit of dowel and a dowel stick on top of a little wooden block, and they're really cool, but it's impossible to get in the UK for like the right price. They're trying to charge a lot of money. So we make do with this, but I kind of wish I'd bought something a little bit different that's a bit more accurate. So the next item was something we got when we went to go and pick up Chip and Fish, which was a wooden play gym. Now I can't find the exact one that we got at the time, but I'll put a picture of the closest kind of one I could find. It was fairly inexpensive. It was about 20 to 25 pounds. It looked interesting at the time. We thought, yeah, this will do. Now the problem with this particular one, there's a few. So the first thing was it smelled disgusting. It smelled like fish. And I don't know why a wooden play stand gym thing like this should smell like fish. It shouldn't. So that was gross. So we knew it was going back anyway. But the more that we looked at this particular play gym, we realised that it just wasn't suitable for our boys. It was very small. There wasn't really a lot of manoeuvrability with them being able to use it. They could probably just perch on it, but it didn't really serve as much of a purpose as we would want from a play gym. So luckily we could take it back really quickly, but it was just really pointless and annoying. And yeah, the fact that it smelled weird was very weird. And actually, in fact, since then I've bought some other products like Perches and things from some retailers, and they have smelled like fish as well. I don't know if it's like something like the way they're stored. I don't know if it's pesticides. I don't know what it is, but it's gross. So if you buy anything and it smells like that, take it back straight away. I've also had Perches before that stink of bleach. So if you're anything you're buying smells anything unusual, doesn't smell right, send it straight back and ask for a refund, because nothing like that for your bird should smell weird. So the next product I wanted to talk about is this travel carrier. I've shown it in some of my videos previously, and it looks like a great travel carrier. I think it's either by Liberta or Rainforest. I can't remember which. I think they might even be the same brand overall, but it looks like a really good travel carrier. There's a lot of space in there, and yeah, I was really impressed with it when I bought it. But again, nothing is ever as it seems. And the problem with this one is it has a very small door right at the narrow end, and that makes it really hard to get your birds in. Obviously you can train your birds to go in their carriers voluntarily, and I will be making a whole video on that. However, it's almost impossible for your bird to get in there properly. There's a big lip of bar at the bottom, so it makes it hard to get in there. You have to kind of climb in, and then the perches are really high, so they have to kind of climb along the bars. And we did some kind of test runs where we would put the boys in, but as you're putting them in, they're kind of crawling up your arm to come out. So it isn't as fit for purpose as I'd hoped it would be, which is a real shame because it looks like a nice carrier. I do still have this, but it's in the loft for emergencies. But we now instead have a different carrier from Northern Parrots, which I will put a picture on now. This is a great carrier. We love this one. I would like to get 2 more, so we have some for each set of birds, but I can't afford to do that right now, so one day I will get enough for all of them. But we have enough travel carriers if there was an emergency and we had to move all the birds, but they're not all the ones I want to have because, you know, money. So yeah, I don't necessarily recommend this carrier because I found it quite difficult. It might be different with your birds, but that was my experience with this particular one. I think the brand is great, but this one just didn't work for us. Now the next one I wanted to talk about is big wooden block toys. Now this isn't something I've bought a lot of because we discovered very early on that they are not suitable for small beaks, but I did keep one just to kind of show you as an example. So when you get these big, thick, hardwood pieces, it's very difficult for most small birds to actually get through them. And then they end up being more of a decoration or a pooping spot for your birds, and they don't really serve much of a purpose. You want your little beaks to be shredding and destroying things regularly. You know, you don't want toys to be sat in there for a really long time because then again, they're not serving a purpose. You want toys to be actively being shredded and destroyed and replaced because then you know that they're being used for the right purpose. So these kind of toys are really pointless for small beaks. However, I'm going to show you now, I'm just going to go and get out of Olive's cage, how hardwood can be implemented in some circumstances. So this is a toy that we got recently from Northern Parrots, and this is called Discs and Knots, or Knots and Discs, whichever one it is. This is a hardwood toy. However, as you can see, the pieces of hardwood are actually really thin. And you may also be able to see that a certain Miss Olive has been having the time of her life destroying these little slats. So I think hardwood for small birds is okay when it's like this, where the pieces are really, really thin. But when it's big chunky toys, it's very difficult for most small birds to actually make use of the toy. Obviously there's going to be exceptions, there's going to be some really strong chewers, but from my experience I think that having softer woods and palm leaf and cardboard paper and all that kind of stuff is better for small beaks. But this toy is an absolute winner, and I'm definitely going to be making another order shortly and buying some more of these because all of the birds really enjoy this toy. Now this next one really pains me to regret because I really wanted my birds to like this, and that is a double Java tree kind of tabletop stand. Now because all Java trees are made individually, obviously they come from trees, I can't show you the exact one I had because I haven't got a really clear picture of it, but it roughly looked like this. Now this cost me a lot of money. It was about 70–80 pounds I think, and I loved it and it was awesome. Problem is the birds didn't love it. So unfortunately the way that my Java tree came, because obviously as I said they're all natural and individual, the branches were very steep and sloped, and Java wood is very kind of smooth, so it's very easy for birds to kind of slip around. So the boys didn't really enjoy being up there, and then when we got Pickles, she hated it, she didn't want to go anywhere near it. The other thing as well is it just didn't really flow right. Having the 2 branches, they weren't really interconnected well, so they couldn't move from one side to the other. They didn't mind playing in the kind of base of the Java stand, that was fine, but it was a lot of money just for a, you know, a glorified kind of foraging tray. So I did end up disinfecting it and selling it on Gumtree, but it pained me because I really wanted them to like it. I wanted them to have a kind of Java thing. I'm hoping, again, when I can afford to, one day we'd like to have big Java trees because I think they'll work better, and I'll be a bit more mindful about the kind of branch setup that I choose, because you can normally see pictures of each individual one on certain retailers. So I'll be a bit more mindful about which one we get in the future, and I think it will work better. But yeah, it really pained me because I really wanted my bird to like this. I think Java trees are amazing. I think they're great for allowing your bird to have independent play outside of the cage and things like that. But this one just did not work for us. Yeah, and it was a shame. But at least I got my money back on Gumtree, so, you know, small mercy. And the final regret for today's video is a giant bag of organic food grade nuts from Buy Whole Foods Online. Again, this is nothing to do with Buy Whole Foods Online. They are amazing. I buy from them all the time. Now, the problem that I had with this big bag of nuts is I seem to have one of the only flocks in the world where my birds hate nuts. It's very unusual for a parrot not to like nuts, but apparently mine don't. Although Olive will have a bit of almond sometimes, and she likes pecans, but generally speaking, my birds hate nuts. It doesn't matter if I soak them in avian tea or water overnight to make them more bioavailable, more nutritious. It doesn't matter if I grind them up. It doesn't matter if I chop them or offer them whole. They don't like them. And I bought a really big bag of nuts. So that went out for the wild birds and squirrels and things like that. But it was such a shame. My advice would be, if you want to try something new with your birds, buy a small bag, because mine just don't like them. And it's a shame because nuts are really nutritious. I will keep trying with smaller bags, but yeah, if you want to try your bird on something new, buy a small bag first, because you're going to end up wasting a lot of it, because I don't actually like nuts myself, so I couldn't use it myself. But it did go to the wild birds, so again, it hasn't been wasted, but it was a waste of my money, so that was annoying. So that brings me to the end of the video. Those are a few of my products that I regret buying. Again, if you want to know some products that I would recommend avoiding buying at all costs because they're dangerous, I'm going to have a box on screen now of the video that I made a while back. So do go and check that out, so make sure that you're keeping your birds nice and safe. Let me know down in the comments if you have bought anything and you regret buying it, but we're not trying to bash brands here. It's more about, you know, letting other people know what does and doesn't work for you and your flock. The boys are being so noisy today because there's crows outside. It's normally magpies, it's crows today. We've had a few spooks during filming, which I obviously haven't left in. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having an amazing week. Let me know how you're doing in the comments as well, because I would love to speak to you as always. But thank you so much for watching. Take care and see you later.